Somewhere beneath the dark waters of Egypt's Aboukir Bay, 6 meters below the surface, a city sleeps. Streets where merchants once haggled over ivory and linen. Temples where priests burned incense to gods carved in stone. Harbors choked with the hulls of 64 ancient ships. This city was spoken of by Herodotus. Visited, perhaps, by Helen of Troy herself. Then silence. For 14 centuries, it simply vanished. Not into legend, not into sand, into the sea. Tonight, we descend into the lost world of Thonis-Heracleion. The year is 2000. French marine archaeologist Franck Goddio is leading a survey of Aboukir Bay, roughly 30 kilometers northeast of Alexandria on Egypt's north coast. His team is hunting for Napoleonic warships sunk during the 1798 Battle of the Nile. What they find instead will rewrite the ancient world. Magnetometer readings spike. Sonar returns impossible shapes. A city emerges from the data, spread across 11 square kilometers of the seafloor. Goddio would later describe it as one of the most important discoveries in the history of underwater archaeology. He was not exaggerating. The name alone carries the weight of two worlds. To the Egyptians, this was Thonis, a name found on tax records and priestly decrees stretching back to at least the 7th century BC. To the Greeks who sailed here in their thousands, it was Heracleion, the city of Hercules. For 2 centuries, scholars had debated whether these were two different places or one and the same. The discovery of a single black granite stele on the seafloor, inscribed with both names side by side, settled the argument forever. One city, two names, one fate. Close your eyes and travel back. It is the 5th century BC. You are approaching Thonis-Heracleion by sea, your merchant vessel heavy with amphorae of Greek wine and Aegean bronze. The city appears on the horizon like a vision. Massive stone pylons rise above the delta marshes. The air smells of salt water, fish sauce, burning cedar resin from temple offerings. Ahead, the Grand Canal, the main artery into the city, is alive with vessels. Phoenician trading ships, Egyptian flat-bottomed barges, Greek triremes waiting inspection at the customs quay. Every ship entering Egypt from the Mediterranean was required by law to pass through Thonis-Heracleion first. This was the gateway, the customs house of the ancient world. Helen and Paris came to Egypt, and with them great treasure. For a strong wind blew them to the harbour of Thonis. Herodotus wasn't writing fantasy. He was recording what Egyptian priests told him when he visited around 450 BC. The city he described was real, a thriving cosmopolitan port at the mouth of the canopic branch of the Nile. Archaeologists have now recovered more than 700 ancient anchors from the site, along with some 64 ships buried beneath the sediment, the largest collection of ancient vessels ever found in a single location. These weren't warships. They were working boats. The battered, patched hulls of everyday commerce. Carbon dating places many of them between the 6th and 2nd centuries BC, the exact window when classical sources say the city was at its height. The soil doesn't lie. At the very center of Thonis-Heracleion stood the great temple of Amun-Jereb, the supreme deity of this city, the king of the gods in this corner of the delta. This wasn't a modest shrine. Ancient sources and the recovered foundation platform suggest a structure of monumental scale, with a sacred precinct surrounded by water on all sides, like a temple island. Archaeologists have recovered the remains of the temple's stone platform, measuring approximately 60 meters by 45 meters at its base. Around it, ritual objects accumulate: bronze vessels, gold jewelry, faience amulets, the shattered remains of hundreds of oil lamps. Every great ship that entered Egypt brought offerings here before proceeding inland. This was the spiritual toll booth of the ancient Mediterranean. Then there are the statues. Divers have raised 3 colossal figures from the seafloor that once flanked the temple entrance. Each stands approximately 5.4 meters tall, carved from pink Aswan granite, weighing tons apiece. One depicts a pharaoh in the striding pose, the left foot forward, arms rigid, the eternal symbol of royal power. One depicts a queen or goddess, her dress carved with extraordinary finesse despite the stone's resistance. The third is Hapi, the god of the Nile inundation, god of abundance, a rare figure almost never depicted at this scale. These statues didn't just decorate. They announced, Standing in the harbour entrance, they told every arriving sailor exactly whose world they had entered. With each passing decade, the scale of what lies beneath Aboukir Bay becomes more staggering. Artifacts, ships, and monumental structures keep emerging from the sediment, rewriting what we thought we knew about ancient Egypt's connection to the Mediterranean world. By the 1st century BC, Thonis-Heracleion was already fading. Alexander the Great had founded Alexandria to the west in 331 BC, and that city, with its superior harbour and deep royal investment, began to drain trade and population away from the older port. Thonis-Heracleion became a city past its prime. But it did not simply wither. The earth itself delivered the killing blow. Geological analysis of the sediment layers tells a dramatic story. The city was built on the soft, unstable soils of the Nile Delta, a landscape of water-saturated silt and clay. Beneath the grand stone buildings, the ground was slowly, invisibly liquefying. When earthquakes struck the region, and they did repeatedly, the saturated soil lost its structure in a process geologists call liquefaction. Buildings that weighed thousands of tons simply began to sink. The sediment record shows this wasn't a single catastrophe but a series of collapses over several centuries. Each earthquake would have caused further subsidence. Each Mediterranean storm surge would have pushed more water across the already sinking land. By around the 8th century AD, the sea had claimed what remained. The city didn't burn. It didn't fall to an invading army. It simply sank, quietly, incrementally, until nothing was left above the waterline. And the delta's soft silts, the same unstable soils that doomed the city, became its perfect preservative. Sealed beneath meters of anaerobic sediment, organic materials that would normally rot away in centuries were frozen in time. Wooden ship hulls, leather sandals, braided rope, woven baskets, the intimate debris of a living city, stopped like a clock. The finds from Thonis-Heracleion read like a catalogue of a civilization's soul. More than 19,000 objects have now been catalogued from the site. Among them, a perfectly preserved naos, a miniature shrine cabinet of black granite, 1.9 meters tall, dating to the reign of Nectanebo I in the 4th century BC. Gold coins struck in the names of Greek and Egyptian rulers alike, confirming the city's dual cultural identity. Hundreds of small bronze figurines of gods, Osiris, Isis, Horus, mass-produced for the pilgrimage trade, ancient souvenirs carried home by Greek and Egyptian worshippers. And beneath the sediment near the temple precinct, a remarkable deposit, dozens of lead net weights still threaded on the rotted remains of a fishing net. The fisherman's net, still set, still waiting. In 2021, archaeologists made a find that hinted at even deeper layers of the city's story. Beneath the Ptolemaic ruins, the Greek-era city most visitors would have known, they discovered evidence of an even older settlement, pushing the city's origins back toward the Bronze Age. Mycenaean Greek pottery, Bronze Age anchors. The city was not merely old. It was ancient even to the ancient world. And work continues. In 2023, Godio's team discovered a previously unknown sunken funerary complex near the temple, with submerged structures, bronze weapons, ceramic vessels, and jewelry suggesting a major ritual site that had never appeared in any ancient text. The sea still holds its secrets. The excavation has barely scratched the surface of 11 square kilometers of buried city. We are moving through a city that no living person has ever walked through. Everything we touch is a first contact with the human past. What does Thonis-Heracleion mean for how we understand the ancient world? More than most discoveries, it forces us to reckon with how much is gone. If a city this large, a city mentioned by Herodotus, documented in tax records, visited by thousands of Greek and Egyptian sailors every year, could disappear so completely that its very existence became uncertain, what else has the sea taken? The Nile Delta coastline has been dramatically reshaped by sea level rise and delta subsidence since antiquity. Other cities may sleep beneath these waters. Canopus, the great pleasure city of the ancient Mediterranean, lies nearby, partially investigated. The ancient port of Menethus may still await discovery entirely. Thonis-Heracleion is not just a site. It is a window, cracked open just a little, into a lost world that is far larger than we can yet imagine. And so we surface. From the dark silt and the slanting light. From the anchors and the statues and the fisherman's net. From a world that thought it was building for eternity and built, instead, on water. Thonis-Heracleion endures not despite its destruction but because of it. The sea that swallowed it whole preserved it better than any museum could. The granite pharaoh stares upward through 6 meters of water toward a sky he can no longer see. The oil lamps of 1,000 offerings still lie where priests set him down one final time. Somewhere beneath Aboukir Bay, a city the ancient world called magnificent is waiting, still. Patient, unchanged, and the divers are going back down.